See these pots? I have lots of potted plants and trees in my garden, and I get lots of questions about how I keep them alive over the winter. In this video, I'm going to show you my process. Hi, it's Steph. Welcome back to my garden. This video is a compilation of my process that I have tracked over a year to show you how I overwinter some of my potted plants. In my garden specifically, I have some potted roses as well as some potted Japanese maples, but this process would work the same for any type of plant that is not winter hardy that you grow in a pot. Here on this patio, I have two Japanese maples that had some foliage until just about a week ago. But now that the leaves have dropped, it is time for me to think about how I'm going to store them to keep them alive over the winter. I have had these plants for about 3 years, and I do the same process every year, and it works for me beautifully. Here in this garden, I am surrounded by Japanese maples, and you might be wondering, what is the difference between these that are planted here and the ones that I have in the pots? And the difference is that the Japanese maples that I have planted in the ground are insulated by the earth, so they are going to survive the winter, where the ones in pots are going to need some protection. The rule of thumb is that any plant that you have in a container or planter has to be rated at least 2 zones colder than your growing zone in order for it to survive the winter. For example, I have a perennial here called a heuchera, and I garden in a USDA growing zone 6B/7A. This heuchera is rated down to a zone 4, so I could leave it here in this container above ground and it would survive my winter temperatures. So here's my video for my process on how I store my potted plants, how I water them, what they look like partway through the winter, and what they look like when they come out of storage. We're in my shed, and this is the spot where we're going to overwinter some of these potted Japanese maples and the roses that I have in my pots. In the past, this has worked out really well for us. We have this window here in the corner of the shed that we leave the blind up, so it allows a lot of light to get in. And what we'll do throughout the winter is we'll come in here about every 3 weeks and give some water to all of the plants that we're overwintering here in our shed. Now, it's unheated, but it's out of the elements, so it is really helpful to keep them just a little bit warmer than they would be outside. And what we did was we just set up anything that had a flat surface, such as these little plastic side tables, that kneeling bench, the chairs, as well as the the side tables. Even the cinder blocks are going to serve as a surface for us to be able to put those potted plants on top. We've gotten all of the plants that we're going to overwinter in the shed placed, and this is what it looks like. We've been doing this for about 4 years, and it's worked out really well. And while the shed is unheated, these plants are not getting the outside wind over the winter. That is going to be really helpful to keep these just warm enough to make it through the winter in pots.
So maybe you want to show the plants that we're overwintering.
Let's take a look. So these are our overwintered plants, and they're mostly doing pretty well. It even looks like the roses are starting to get a couple of buds that are swelling, and the sedum is holding up. Everything's looking pretty good. So we've just been coming in here and watering maybe once a month.
Every 3 weeks.
Every 3 weeks. Usually George
I have
takes
a timer on my phone.
Yeah, George takes care of that for me because I always complain that it's too cold out. I have to make dinner, whatever the case. I usually get him to come out and help me with this. So thanks for keeping our plants alive, George.
No problem.
I came out here to check in the shed if I have any planters that I can use in the front porch clustered pots project, and of course I got stopped in my tracks by the magnolia. But you can see that we have now moved out all of the plants that we had overwintered in the shed. We had the roses as well as Japanese maples, and now that our temperatures are more consistently above 50 degrees Fahrenheit, those have now gone outside to get acclimated and also to get watered by the rain. Here are all the roses and the Japanese maples as well as that tricolored beech that we overwintered. So everything's looking really good, but it was starting to get a little bit warm in there, and these roses are a lot more ahead than the ones that we have out in the garden. So it was time to get them outside to kind of slow them down a tiny bit. Thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, please hit the thumbs up button. And please consider subscribing so you don't miss any of my future videos. And we'll see you soon.